Hey everyone, it's time for our weekly breakdown of Kaiju No.8, particularly Chapter 27. If you're not familiar with Kaiju No.8, it's one of the most popular manga on Jump Plus right now, and it's available to be read on Viz.com with a subscription. And if you just want a taste of what the story is about, the 3 most recent chapters can be read for free on Viz as well. I know right now I probably sound like a Viz shill every single video, but I'm a creator and I've made some acquaintances along the way that work as translators and letterers, so to support them, I read the official release. That way I don't get it twisted and use a wrong translation too. Even if you're just reading the free chapters, we're all doing our part to support the people in the industry that we all love. But enough rambling. If you enjoy coming to the bar, help keep the lights on and subscribe to the channel. And if you're a fan of the premieres here at the bar, make sure you change your notifications from personalized to all. That way you never miss a video going live. So let's go inside and talk more about chapter 27. Alright. Welcome to the bar, folks. Grab a seat, grab your drink and/or smoke, because there's not much to go over, to be quite honest, in this chapter, but there's definitely loads for me to assume. But in the development factor of the plot, it does feel like Chapter 28 is going to be the intense cliffhanger, and Chapter 27 is just that vehicle to get us there. So with that being said, let's head over to the wall and talk a little bit more about Chapter 27. Okay, so Chapter 27 starts off with a soldier going by Minase getting cornered by one of the Wyvern Kaiju, and luckily, thanks to Kafka building on his partial transformation, she's able to evade any harm. But once again, the fact that Kafka's unable to generate any power from his suit arises suspicion from even the most common of characters. And Kafka's able to still belay any suspicion, and luckily the Wyvern Kaiju moves to strike them one more time, giving Reno and Kikoru the means to show up and prevent Kafka's intervention even more. And I guess now would be just the perfect time to talk about the dedication that these two characters have to protecting Kafka's secret. And it is kind of funny, but kind of a little bit annoying that Reno has to constantly remind Kafka that he made it to officer, and instead of jeopardizing his dream right off the jump, how about relying on his squad a little bit more, and instead of looking to be that hero every 5 seconds, just focus on doing what he can without arousing suspicion, like attending to the wounded and evacuating some of the injured. Though what's really cool is this chapter gets some world building done, because this attack on Tachikawa Command, it actually brings in several new platoons from Division 3. I mean, we saw Ikaruga during the night raid, but this is Ibina platoon, a brand new platoon, and my guess is the guy with scars over 25% of his face isn't gonna be so kind if and when Kafka's secret is revealed. And after 3 more platoons of soldiers show up, Kafka eases off the trigger a little bit more as they're starting to push back the kaiju. Kafka actually sits back and relishes in the fact that the 3rd Division is absolutely amazing. And I've said this before, that this is the only one that we've seen so far. This is just the 3rd Division. And within the 3rd Division, Mina and Hoshina are the strongest of the elite soldiers, and I don't know how many separate divisions actually exist, but I'm sure there's more, with probably some intense characters that could possibly act as relatives to our cast in Division 3. We've learned that Kikoru and Izumo come from esteemed families, and Hoshina himself comes from a family of legendary sword wielders. And while I'm on the topic of Hoshina, the chapter then moves to his point of view for the rest of the chapter once again. Chapter 26 ended with Hoshina moving the kaiju away from the main facilities where he can activate 92% of his power. Now, in this chapter, we specifically find out why. It's because Hoshina needs the room if he wants to speed around and unload his heaviest of strikes. And I gotta say, this fight was hugely in Hoshina's favor. The kaiju underestimated him severely, and because of that, Hoshina turned him into sushi. Though the entire time Hoshina's fight was going on, I couldn't help but think more and more about how this kaiju became so intelligent. Emergencies have been happening for like over 30 years, and it seems like each time the humans have come back and won. Granted, the world is always going to be in constant fear of the next emergence, but the world hasn't been taken over and destroyed by the kaiju. So if I were to say one thing, it's that we can expect in the coming chapters, it's gotta be more backstory on the villains of this story and just the history of the kaiju in general. I mean, think about it, they've evolved enough to learn about how radio communication works, and it only makes me assume that with each defeat, a piece of human technology is brought back to a certain degree and analyzed in a similar way to the humans breaking down their biochemistry chemistry. And on that thought, it is possible they probably do the same. I mean, they did say they wanted to kidnap Reno and Furuhashi and assimilate possibly into their bodies. If you take over a human, you could probably gain sentience, and with that sentience comes the ability to control lesser kaiju and just build an army. Or it could be a little bit more complicated than that. I mean, if they manage to steal one person who's capable of creating a uni-organ and reapply that science to benefit a kaiju, who knows, you could make an army of sentient kaiju capable of just controlling those lesser kaiju like I said. Now, I know the chaotic neutral in all of us wants to immediately say that Kafka's gonna show up and save Hoshina, giving himself away to him, but I think at this point, Kafka might be too far away to assist. He's been dealing with the rescue effort, and from this panel right here, I guess we can probably assume that this kaiju is either gonna go boom, or he's gonna do some serious Rita Repulsa make my monster grow kind of move. Hoshina specializes in taking down smaller threats, so this guy was right up his alley, but my guess is the bigger and bigger he becomes, the less equipped Hoshina is to take him down. Yeah, we saw him take down a mid-sized threat before, but if this thing swells up in power and in size, you're gonna need a bigger gun like Mina to show up. And actually, when I think about it, she hasn't really shown up yet, which makes me assume that in the next chapter, she might. It'll be interesting to see if she fights with anything else besides that massive cannon. Being the captain of the division, you would think that she's proficient with a litany of weapons, or maybe we'll just see a scaled down version of her gun. But like I said previously, this chapter really only expanded upon 26's invasion and the military response, but if anything, I feel like there's just been a lot of moving pieces behind the scenes that we haven't seen. I say that because while for now it's great to see everyone, including Kafka, enjoy success, I'm ready for a major arc to kick off that isn't resolved in just 3 chapters. Being that this is only chapter 27, this story is still super new. They don't have to reveal Kafka's secret for another 20 chapters because even when the story is at 40 chapters, it's still really new. And when this manga first started, it had levity and only drizzled in its darkness. We were led to believe that every single character that has been focused on has a complicated past. And with that being said, even Hoshina himself has told everyone not to be too comfortable seeing the same face, as death happens every day in this profession. That type of foreshadowing would make me think that this is the moment in time where maybe Hoshina dies. Most likely not, but this is probably just a feint to remind us of Kafka's goal to make sure that nobody ever dies again from a kaiju attack. And what I love about Kafka is that his character just makes everyone around him want to do better, and his philosophy of never had it before, I shouldn't use it now approach is absolutely great. It keeps him humble and relatable as a protagonist. Every step that he takes pushes everyone around him to do better, and we've learned that Kafka is kinda petty in hindsight, but in the moment he makes the best decision for his character. I would like to learn a little bit more about his life though. We saw that he grew up in an orphanage, so Kafka's life has been moderately troubled, and I'd like to see more of where he came from. As for the chapter itself, despite it acting as a segue towards a larger cliffhanger for the coming chapter, I'm eager to see what's going to happen at the end of this battle with Hoshina. The squads are coming through and pushing back those enemies, but I wouldn't put it past this story to have one more conflict before the conclusion. And I guess in a way this battle has only just begun for me, so I hope that this kaiju has more up its sleeve. Though if this battle was just demonstrating to all of us, the reader, that Hoshina could rip apart Kafka at any point in time, they did a pretty good damn job. But if you have any ideas as to what chapter 28 of Kaiju No. 8 will entail, be sure to leave it in the comments down below. And if you enjoyed today's video, be sure to hit that like button. But other than that, I'm gonna get out of here. I'll catch y'all later. Cheers.